Now we turn to the so-called fiscal cliff, the combination of tax hikes and spending cuts that will kick in at the start of the year if Congress and the president can't cut a deal. After the first round of talks on Friday, the tone, at least, was positive.
My hope is that this is going to be the beginning of a fruitful process where we're able to come to an agreement that will reduce our deficit in a balanced way, that we will deal with some of these long-term impediments to growth.
And while we're going to continue to have revenue on the table, it's going to be incumbent for my colleagues to show the American people that we're serious about cutting spending and solving our fiscal dilemma.
So how likely are they to actually reach a compromise before the deadline? Joining us is our friend Michael Santoli, senior columnist at Yahoo Finance. It's great to have you with us as always, Michael.
Good morning. Thanks.
So they're sounding like they're flexible on both sides of the aisle.
Yeah.
How much is there action behind those words?
We just don't know. I mean, it's slightly incremental progress that there's this sort of mutual intention for them to say, in the next 6 weeks, we actually want to be able to get a deal done, not kind of go to the brink and maybe, have some kind of common ground. I don't think there's any clarity, though, on the specific sticking points here, the raising of the income tax rate for the top 2% of earners and things like that, that we really can bank on right here. I think the reassurance comes, though, there was this possibility out there that both sides or one or the other was going to use the idea of a market panic or public outrage, if they really got to the brink, almost as a tactical maneuver and say, oh, well, then the other side will come to us. Maybe that's a little bit less likely now.
We've been down this road before. We looked like we had a deal the last time we went through this, and of course it all collapsed, and there seemed like there was some goodwill then. So it's difficult to trust this. You mentioned the word market panic. If we get to the cliff, how big a market panic do you think there'd be?
Well, I think we got a down payment on the panic since the election. We're down 7 or 8% in a couple of months, and most of that in the last couple of weeks. So I do think you'd see another tantrum that the markets would throw. I don't know exactly how much. I do think you have to distinguish it from the debt ceiling talks of 2011, when you basically, if you didn't come to a grand deal and you didn't raise the debt ceiling, we invited a credit rating default and you actually did compromise the country's borrowing capacity. Here you can do it a little more piecemeal. You can extend this provision, you can cancel another one to let it expire. So I don't think it's quite, the stakes are not quite as high as of December 31st, but they're being treated that way.
And that you have another debt ceiling debate that comes right after this, on the heels of all of this, either way. In terms of where the compromise could exist, one of the main things is taxes, with both the Republicans and the Democrats. On taxes, where does the compromise exist?
It might exist in some combination of not having the top income rate go up to a stated 39.6%, which is what the law would now have, from 35, and maybe kind of bringing the rate down and having some tangible cutting of deductions, allowances, and things like that that actually get you the revenue. So to me, it's going to be a matter of what could you live with on the other side of the table. And then, of course, that has to be paired with some kind of genuine effort to have cuts in Medicare and Medicaid, the trajectory of spending growth, which is what they're calling spending cuts in Washington.
Thank you, Michael Santoli.
Okay,
thanks, Michael.